GroupWise system can take advantage of Ldap sources in two important ways. The first is synchronizing data from an Ldap source to your GroupWise user objects. The second is authentication. GroupWise can take advantage of complex password policies already in place for your eDirectory or Active Directory objects. This video will briefly cover the basics of configuring Ldap servers, setting up synchronization, and Ldap password authentication. As always, more detail is available in the documentation. Let's start with Ldap directories and servers. Open your GroupWise admin console and select System, then Ldap servers. There are two types of objects here, directories and servers. I have 3 directories defined and 1 server. An Ldap server is a subcomponent of a directory, and it would be used when configuring fault tolerance scenarios where multiple servers point to the same directory information. Other than that distinction, these are all Ldap sources that can be used in your system. Let's take a look at the properties for one of these. You can see the name, description, the type, image attribute if you want to pull pictures down. The address and port will be critical, as well as the certificate information for secure communications. The user and password here are to authenticate to the Ldap server. For large trees, you can specify a base DN to limit search results here. At the bottom of the list, you see information on synchronizing users. I can enable a sync through any of my GroupWise domains. Note this checkbox here. If I check it, then as users are removed from my Ldap source, the corresponding GroupWise account will be automatically expired according to this time frame. This may be something you want to set up to help automate user account actions. To complete the sync setup, I need to have a look at the MTA object that corresponds to my sync domain. I'll open that MTA object and click on the Scheduled Events tab. An MTA has only one option for a scheduled event, and that is synchronizing. This event must be enabled for the event to kick off. The properties show that this event will take place daily starting at 1 a.m. An important note is that you only need one synchronization event for the entire GroupWise system. This event will sync all users in the system that are linked to that directory object. You can set all of your Ldap directories to sync through one domain if desired. I'd recommend checking the MTA log file to confirm the sync event. This is typical of what you'd see. The Ldap information is here, and each user object is listed as it's found. If your user's information had changed in the Ldap source, you'd see those changes update here, keeping the information between Ldap and GroupWise current. Now let's have a look at the Ldap authentication starting at the user level. In the admin console, I'll click Users. I can tell by the icons in front of the users that some are linked to directory objects and some are not. It's this directory symbol over the shoulder that indicates a user is linked. If I open the properties of this user, I can click Diagnostics and then Display Object to find lots of information. Here is the directory server ID, Maple, and here I can see the Ldap DN of the directory object this GroupWise user is linked to. Going back to the user properties, I can see that this user is on the PO2 post office under the DOM2 domain. I need to open that post office object to set up the Ldap authentication. Once the properties of the post office is opened, I click the Security tab. Here I can see that GroupWise authentication is set up for this post office. If I want my users to use their eDirectory or Active Directory passwords, I need to make the change here. Select Ldap authentication, and now I can select the Ldap directories and/or servers I want used for authentication. In this case, I'll add the Maple directory as well as the Maple2 server. If one of these is down, the next one will be used as a backup source, creating fault tolerance. This has been a very quick look at how GroupWise can use Ldap sources, but we hope you found this information helpful. If desired, formal training is available from Micro Focus. Thank you.